Okay.
Ah, fuck.
Fucking nice intro, Fina. Anyways.
I'm like crying.
Okay. We're here with me, Fina, Fitz, and Fitz's friend...
Fiance, Barbara.
Fiance, Barbara.
Bro, look at that hand.
Bro.
I'm a beautiful drawing. You can't see it though, but I'm drawing.
She's included.
Okay. Okay. So, anyways, we're doing a dramatic fanfic reading, and Fitz is going first. And there's a cat in here too, but he's over there.
Yeah, he's behind
He
me.
needs to you. You can see him in the frame over here. Fina, move your phone with us. He's right here.
Oh my god, Fina, you're gonna fall.
He's right there.
Fina, I can save myself. It's fun.
Fina is halfway off the bed now. Okay, Fitz, are you ready?
Oh god, I think so.
Okay. 3. Okay, Fitz, start.
The fandom is Mariana's Trench, and the fanfiction is named Camping by Don't Lie to Me, Honey. Why are we here? Josh demanded. It's called Camping, Ramsey. Look it up, Ian grumbled. Mike chuckled and began to unravel the bright orange tent he had brought for himself. Ian and Matt had also brought their own tents, but Josh was simply standing around and watching them move around the camp. I know what camping is, asshole. Why are we doing it, though? Matt sighed and stood up straight from where he had crouched. We need a little time off, Josh, and everyone else agreed with this would be a good idea. Majority rules, so suck it up. Josh frowned at Matt's words, and he looked extremely out of place in the wilderness. His blonde and blue locks falling into his eyes and his skinny jeans hugging his legs tightly. Matt watched the older man closely for a moment before pulling his own tent out to set up. After a few moments, Matt realized that Josh had only brought a single bag, and it certainly wasn't big enough to pack a tent. Josh, did you pack anything to sleep in? Josh looked confused. Flannel pants? Why? Matt facepalmed while Mike and Ian laughed at the singer's response. No, I meant like a sleeping bag or a tent or anything like that. Don't ruin the basket!
This is Sienna's basket. She's been in it all day.
It's my basket.
Well, Sienna's claimed it, so it's her basket now.
You're
peed on this
shove it
too.
up your ass.
Okay, that's nice.
Josh shuffled his feet for a
Make
moment.
sure you use lots of lube if you're shoving up your ass.
Look at that thumb. Look at that thumb.
Damn, son. 10 out of 10 content here.
Josh shuffled his feet for a moment. No? Why do you say it like a question, Ramsey? Just admit you were stupid and didn't pack anything but flannel pants, Ian said. Ian, seriously, stop being an ass. You're not usually like this, Matt sighed. He was beginning to wonder when he had become the adult in the group. Ian sighed too. Sorry. I'll try to be more supportive. You can bunk in my tent with me if you like, Josh. That's not gonna happen, Josh sassed. What? Why? I've shared a room with you before, and that was scarring enough. And I'm not about to share a tiny tent with you for 2 nights and have nothing left to live for. I don't get it, Mike rubbed his neck. Josh scoffed. You don't want to know. Let's just say there was too much of that man exposed when I walked in earlier than expected. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Mike quickly distracted himself with other things around the camp. Can I stay in your tent, Matt? Josh asked. Matt's eyes got wide. Oh, yeah, sure. This was his best friend and his best and worst dream come true. He would have Josh all to himself for 2 full nights in a 6x8 tent, and he wasn't sure how he was going to keep his hands to himself. Matt had always been attracted to his friend, and had even gotten close to confessing his feelings a time or two, but this altogether was different. He knew it was going to be a rough 2 nights with the man. He wanted so badly being close. He knew it was going to be a rough 2 nights with the man. He wanted so badly being so close to him while they slept. Josh had always been so flirtatious with Matt, always smiling and touching him, but Matt knew it was just as friends. It had to be, right? Josh smiled and moved closer. Thanks, Maddie. Matt could feel the blush on his cheeks. No problem, man. Just help me put up the tent, okay? Josh nodded and, for the first time since getting to the campsite, looked enthusiastic about being there. That night, Josh and Matt sat on opposite sides of the campfire. Mike and Ian had already gone to their tents to sleep, but Josh had pulled out his harmonica and started playing it softly. Matt had stayed up with him, so when the singer was ready to sleep, as well, Matt could put the fire out for him. Thanks again for letting me use your tent with you. Josh paused his playing of the harmonica to focus on Matt across the fire. Matt only smiled as he watched the orange light flicker in the singer's blue eyes. He was beautiful. Just as the thought crossed Matt's mind, he tried to quell it and look away from his best friend. Josh noticed his odd behavior, though, and rose from his spot to cliss.
Clitoris?
Excuse you, that doesn't exist.
That's not even close to what I was going to say.
Excuse you, the clitoris isn't real. I thought we knew this.
Whoa!
And rose from his spot to sit closer to Matt. Are you okay? He asked. Matt nodded, tried to ignore the new heat he felt from the singer's body. He sat so close to Matt that their thighs brushed together. Josh frowned and pushed the harmonica into his leather jacket's pocket before putting his arm around the younger man's shoulder. You sure? You've been pretty distracted today. Matt nearly laughed. He had been so distracted because he couldn't get his best friend out of his mind. Couldn't stop imagining what it might be like to hold him closer than a simple hug would allow. Matt cleared his throat. Yeah, I'm fine. No worries. What are you doing? Oh, fuck.
This is my son.
Steal the cat.
Look at my line art. I'm so close to being done. I only have to add like 2 more people.
Okay, let's continue reading this fic.
I'm sorry, I'm so focused on my line art so I can draw squads. I'm sorry.
Josh watched him for a moment as if searching for a different answer, but sighed and removed his arm from across Matt's shoulders. Okay, I guess I'll head to the tent then. Before the singer got up to move, though, he ducked down to peck a quick kiss on Matt's cheek. Matt squeaked in surprise, but Josh was already moving away. Burger King. The older man had never done anything like that before, and Matt didn't know what to make of the singer's actions. He could only watch as the older man got to his hands and knees and crawled into the tent across the clearing. That image alone had Matt's head spinning, but the kiss to his cheek had his thoughts in overdrive as well. Could Josh like him back? Matt rushed to put the fire out. The soil he threw on it was damp enough to kill the flames, but not enough to make it smoke.
Wow, Matt, that's how you fucking create forest fires. Nice fucking go!
Web, I thought you knew better.
So
Get the
disappointed.
booty, though. Let him get the booty.
Soon the booty. He wiped his hands.
Blame has been thirsting after this for so long.
10 years! 12 years.
Excuse you, I made that joke earlier and you sassed me for it. No.
I Ramsey'd you. He wiped his hands off on his jeans and tried to keep his pace even as he walked to the tent. He took a deep breath and bent down to follow after Josh.
Okay, he took a deep breath.
It's recording? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh god, I'm blind. He took a deep breath and bent down to follow after Josh. Matt stopped almost as soon as he entered the tent because of what he found there. Josh had his back to the tent entrance, but was also perched on his knees, his bum resting on his calves while he peeled his shirt off to reveal the pale skin beneath. Matt swallowed loudly at the sight and moved to zip the tent's opening closed for the night. Josh had heard the tent flap open, but didn't stop his movements as he undressed. He wanted Matt to see him, wanted to get under the younger man's skin. He had wanted him for so long, but nothing had ever happened between them. This was Josh's best chance to change that. He had tried to catch Matt's attention all day, and had even lucked out in sharing a tent with the younger man, but Josh's heart had begun to race the moment his lips touched the younger man's cheek. He had not planned that, hadn't thought about the way it would make him feel, and yet here he was, slowly undressing while he knew Matt watched. Josh could hear his friend swallow loudly in the silence, but it didn't stop him from methodically folding the shirt he'd removed and moving it to one side of the tent before he reached for the snap and zipper of his skinny jeans to let the fabric fall open. Josh, Matt spoke softly from behind the singer. Josh ignored Matt and shifted so he could pull the tight fabric of his pants down his legs. It wasn't long before he was left in his boxers and he could hear Matt's breathing increase. Finally, though, he was able to build up the courage to look over his shoulders at the young man. Matt was in a similar position as the singer. His weight settled on his heels as he rested on his knees, and his eyes were fixed on the man's form. Josh, Matt repeated. What are you doing? Josh smiled teasingly.
Drugs.
Yo, what you doing? Drugs.
Heroin. Getting ready for bed. Getting ready for bed, Matt. What are you doing? Matt swallowed again. The movement caused his Adam's apple to bob up and down, and Josh had the insane urge to run his tongue over the spot. Right. I should get ready for bed too. Matt looked around the tent for a moment before he realized something. There's only one sleeping bag. Josh's eyes widened for a moment before he smiled. You don't mind sharing that too, do you? Matt scowled and shuffled closer to the singer. He knew no better way to get answers than to ask the question straight out. Are you teasing me, Ramsey? What would you say if I was, Maddie? Josh asked quietly. Do you want to share with me because I what, Maddie? The singer's voice was barely above a whisper then. He wanted Matt to call him out so badly. Do you just want me for my sleeping bag? Matt finally asked. Yes. Oh, fuck it, Josh grumbled and swiftly gripped the younger man's biceps to pull him in for a kiss. Sam. Their lips meshed together perfectly, and Matt sighed into the singer's mouth. Neither man could really believe that it had finally happened, but they were just happy that it had. Matt lifted his hands to wrap around the older man's waist and pull him closer. By doing so, he discovered that Josh was already hard and aching. Shit,
Oh, God.
Josh. I told you it was pure porn. Matt pulled away.
The fucking setup was more than 7 minutes long. What the fuck?
I could have done swallow on your knees, okay? It's a lot worse than this. Are we really doing this right now? Josh giggled. Fucking giggled. I sure hope so. How?
Oh, shit, interesting.
Why did it take so long for this to happen? Matt moved his lips to the singer's neck and sucked lightly. Josh's head fell back on his shoulders and he let out a soft moan. I don't know. Don't fucking care as long as it doesn't stop. Don't stop, Maddie. Don't stop believing.
Copyrighted
material. Matt chuckled at the needy sound of the singer's voice and sucked at the skin below his teeth once again. Josh moaned and held him tighter as he began to move his hips in search of friction. Matt happily obliged the older man's need by wedging his thigh between the singer's legs. Josh let out a breathy sigh as he moved against Matt's thigh and the younger man's shoulder and gripped the younger man's shoulder for leverage. Matt growled at the feel of the older man grinding against him and moved to bite and lick at Josh's collarbone while using his hands to pull the older man down harder. They stayed like that for a few minutes, just writhing against one another before Matt pulled away and stilled Josh's hips. The older man let out a whine and opened his eyes to find Matt looking at him with a smile. I'm crying. What? Josh asked. You look so damn hot riding me, Josh. Matt's voice was all gravel. But I want you on your hands and knees for me. Josh couldn't stop the moan that escaped his lips, and Matt smiled wider. You want it, don't you, Joshy? You want me deep inside you. Josh whimpered as his erection jumped into his boxers. Yes, we're in too deep for me to switch to swallow on your knees. Matt brought their lips together for another rough kiss, and his tongue slipped between the singers to delve into his mouth. Josh sighed and opened wider, wanting to taste Matt just as badly. The younger man nipped at Josh's lips and gently sucked. Get on my sleeping bag, Matt ordered. He knew there would be more padding there than anywhere else on the tent's floor, and he knew Josh was going to need it. Josh shakily slid off Matt's thigh and crawled
They're closed, bitch. It's closed.
across the short space to unzip the younger man's sleeping bag. When he had it open, he had slipped himself in the soft material and waited. Matt watched the older man's every move and licked his lips at the sight of the singer on all fours for him. It was a sight he had never thought he would get to see. Quickly removing his own clothes, Matt followed suit and crawled across the tent floor as he approached the older man. He left a trail of soft kisses up his spine. Josh trembled under him, especially when Matt's hips were flush to his own, and he could feel just how hard the younger man was.
Who's who though?
Matt
I feel
licked,
like this is Ray.
Matt licked at Josh's shoulder. Matt licked at Josh's shoulder, lightly biting down on the skin before sucking at it to leave a mark. Josh whined and pushed back his hips into Matt's, and it made the younger man chuckle. Matt loved how eager Josh was. You just can't wait, can you, Joshy? Josh looked over his shoulder at the younger man, and Matt could see the desperation in his eyes. No, Matty, please don't make me wait.
Crying.
Matt lifted his torso so he's only on his knees. His hands left to rest on the singer's hips as he ground his hardness into Josh's bum. Notice they never say dick or ass.
I like how they don't use
At least
lube
it's not
either.
member.
I like how there's no lube either. That must be fun.
They're not even having sex yet.
There's still no lube.
Have you read this?
There's still no lube.
There's no lube yet. Well, Matt, Josh has been fucked enough to not need lube, okay? How do you think he paid for the heroin?
Always lube though.
I hurt myself.
Just continue reading the fucking book.
The older man moaned and let his head hang loosely off his shoulders. It wasn't enough, though, and Matt hooked his thumbs into Josh's boxers, swiftly removing them to reveal the pale swell of the singer's cheeks. Josh was completely bare then, and Matt loved it. He hesitantly lifted his hand to prod at the singer's entrance, and his fingertips lightly brushing the puckered muscle. Josh gasped and rocked his hips back at the touch. You want me here, Joshy? Stretching you open and making you scream? We're in the same camping place as my Gideon. Matt asked, and Josh nodded frantically, and Matt leaned forward to whisper in his ear, do you want me to come inside you, Joshy?
Man, Matt finishes quick. Like, he's only been in there for like a second.
It
The
isn't
fuck?
even in him.
You don't know who needs some help.
Josh
Boy,
like, Matt isn't even fucking him yet. This is just build up. Josh let out a small cry and dropped to his forearms. His foreheads. See Brendan Erie? Maddie, please, yes, I want you, all of it, everything you said, just please don't make me wait anymore. Matt smiled as he ran his fingers through Josh's hair, his grip tightening to pull the singer's head up briefly. He had to bend.
What's that dude's name in Free who has the gray hair?
He had to bend further
What are you
forward.
talking about, whatever his name?
He had to bend further forward to reach Josh's ear again.
Do you think that's correct?
Yes.
The names really are.
Then that's what I'll give you, Joshy. All of it. Josh moaned again as Matt whispered into his ear. Everything was so overwhelming. So good. So hot. He could hardly think.
Well, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Written in the background.
What? This is right
Someone
here.
get my cross necklace and Bible.
And then here we
Let's
have.
finish reading, please.
Wait, Fitz, have you watched Free? I'm gonna try your squad for free. And the characters are labeled on the thing. Hold
Let's
up.
finish this. This is wasting up fucking memory.
Well, too bad. Look.
He could hardly think clearly. I regret this. The singer's length was leaking with need, the pearly white liquid dripping off and staining Matt's sleeping bag. The sight made Josh glad he had chosen to open the sleeping bag rather than leaving it closed. At least this way the stains could be hidden when the sleeping bag was shut and zipped up. I need my cord. Suddenly, Josh felt something slick against his entrance and he jumped. The movement quickly followed by a moan. Matt moved behind him and slipped a finger into the tight heat of Josh's body. I'm pretty sure he lubed up. He pushed past.
No, there's no mention. No.
10% sure you lube.
There has to be mention of lube. That's a rule.
Slick against his entrance.
You can never know if that's lube, okay?
Could be lotion. He pushed past the tight ring of muscle and buried his finger into the knuckle before he stopped. Josh took deep breaths and pushed his hips back, wanting so much more. That's it, Joshy, Matt spoke softly as he worked in his second finger. Fuck yourself on my fingers, baby. Show me how much you want me. I hope your mom's not in the room. Matt wasn't sure where his dominant side had come from, but Josh didn't seem to mind as he followed every order given to him. He rocked back and forth on Matt's fingers, picking up speed as he continued. The fact that Josh had been... That's a run-on sentence. As he continued. The fact that Josh had so readily been submissive, so eager to please, made the younger man want to just pound into him. But he didn't want to hurt Josh either. So Matt easily pushed in yet another finger and spread the digits. Josh's movements faltered but continued as he whimpered at the intrusion, and Matt steadied him with a hand on his waist. Keep going, baby. Don't stop now. Josh nodded, his throat...
You're fucking done, we're fucking done.
His throat too tight to form words, and pushed back again and again. Matt was transfixed by the sight of Josh's entrance opening to him, the pink ring clenching and releasing with Josh's every move. Matt couldn't take it anymore, and he stilled the singer's hips. Stop crying. You did good, Joshy. So good. Stop it! Matt praised the singer as he pulled his fingers out of the older man's seat and lined his hips up to the entrance instead. Before pushing in, though, Matt used his slick fingers to coat his length, mixing Josh's wetness with his own prickle. Where are you guys, verbals? He gripped Josh's hips in both his hands and then slowly moved forward, the very tip of his length slipping in with ease and causing Josh to moan. More, Matty, please. I need more. Josh gasped as Matt inched his way in. Matt laughed a bit and rubbed circles against the singer's lower spine. Don't worry, Joshy. You'll get all of me.
Oh my goodness.
With that being said, Matt added more pressure, his length being engulfed in the singer's tight heat. It was almost enough to make him come on the spot. But Matt grit his teeth and finally just snapped his hips forward so they were flush to Josh's. The older man cried out and his chest dropped down to the cushion of the sleeping bag. Matt was instantly panicked. Josh, did I hurt you? Shit, say something! Don't worry. Josh, me or you?
Both.
Josh laughed weakly and gripped the edges of the sleeping bag.
This is almost fucking 15 minutes!
Fight me! He rolled his hips to move Matt inside him and let a content sigh. I'm
I don't
fine,
think
Maddie.
my fucking tablet's gonna have enough.
So fine. Matt sighed in relief before gasping at the pleasure of Josh tightening around him. Fuck, Josh, you feel so good. I'm almost done. Josh turned his head so he could see Matt lay more comfortably on his hip. His hips were still arched up to meet Matt's, but his arms just wouldn't hold him anymore. Give me what I want, then? Hell yes. Matt smiled before pulling nearly all the way out and thrusting forward again. Josh gasped in winter as sparks of pleasure ran through him. Matt continued to pump into him, each thrust feeling faster or more powerful than the last. This singer's fingers gripped the sleeping bag tightly as a moan escaped his lips. With every movement of Matt's hips, Josh was walked forward, before being pulled harshly back into the younger man's length. It was such a torturous pleasure, intense and wonderful. Drooling. Both men panted heavily, their skin covered in a fine sheen of sweat. Not because of the fanfiction, you pervert. When suddenly, Matt leaned down and wrapped his arms around Josh's chest and stomach. He lifted the older man up so they were both on their knees, Josh's back flush against Matt's chest. All the singer's weight rested on his core, and the pleasure making him cry out again as Matt's length went impossibly deeper. Matt! Josh's head fell back to rest on the younger man's shoulder. Matt smirked and let one of his hands wrap around Josh's thigh, his fingers resting on the inside of the older man's leg, spreading him a little farther. His other arm stayed around Josh's lower belly, holding him in place as Matt thrust upward into the silken heat he couldn't seem to get enough of. Josh moaned and lifted an arm to sink into Matt's hair at the nape of his neck, holding the younger man's mouth to his skin where he had bitten into the singer's shoulder. When Josh turned his head, though, Matt met his lips and licked into the singer's mouth, thrusting his tongue in the same rhythm of his hips. Josh whimpered, feeling Matt everywhere all at once. He worked his tongue against the younger man's every time it slipped between his lips and licked into him. Josh normally wouldn't have liked to kiss like that with so much tongue, but Matt used it as means to push into Josh in more ways than
You
one.
licking his asshole?
Oh, shit, wrong color.
Wrong fan fiction. It was like he was fucking his mouth. That thought alone had Josh's stomach clenching in pleasure as he felt himself getting closer and closer to the edge of release.
It's almost fucking 20 minutes!
Matt quickened his thrusts, making the singer bounce with his bucking hips, and he could feel Josh beginning to shake. Josh whimpered almost incessantly, and then, Matt's length having found the singer's prostate, Matt let out a low laugh. Don't hold back, baby. Let me hear you. I'm crying. The singer keened louder than before and dropped his free hand to grip Matt's hip in a tight hold as the pressure kept building. Matt growled deep in his throat as the older man tightened around him, the sound followed by a moan as Josh urged him faster. Matt, please, Josh whined. The younger man smiled and tilted his head for a better look at the singer's torso. Josh was breathing heavily, his pale chest rising and falling rapidly, his smooth stomach revealing faint... That looks so wrong from where I am.
What?
His smooth stomach revealing faint edges of muscle every time he breathed out. Just below the V's of his hips, though, Matt could see the singer's straight erection, the hard length, a deep red color, and leaking from the tip. Matt couldn't stop himself from wrapping his fingers around the length and tugging. Josh jolted in the younger man's lap, his hips bucking up before thrusting back down frantically. The motion caused Matt to still his own hips and allow Josh to rise above him. Maddie? Josh asked breathlessly. Matt nibbled at the singer's ear, his fingers tightening their grip and his hips moving to rest on his calves. I want to see you move for me, Josh. I want to see you ride me. The singer panted out a moan, but slowly began moving his hips. He thrust up into Matt's hand and sank down. He thrust up into Matt's hand and sank back down onto his length. They slid together deliciously, and the friction made both men moan. Matt nuzzled into Josh's neck as he picked up speed, allowing the older man to move freely for only a few minutes before stopping the singer to take control again. So good, Joshy. You make me feel so good, Matt muttered. Josh sighed contentedly before gasping in surprise as Matt snapped his hips up again and again, his fist pumping on time on Josh's hardness. The singer let out little sobs of pleasure every time Matt adjusted his hips, even the slightest, every move bringing him into contact with Josh's sensitive bundle of nerves again. Matt tried to keep his breathing even, but it was ragged as Josh's body clenched around him impossibly tighter, and the singer mewed helplessly. Come on, baby. I've told you not to hold back, Matt grunted, his voice gravelly. Come for me. Are you crying? Josh let out a groan and turned his face into Matt's neck, licking the skin he found there as his finger curled into Matt's legs for support. Matt, the singer's whispered word was followed by a raspy scream as he fell apart. Melts in him. He bucked into Matt's hand, his cum coating the younger man's finger and drilling messily onto the sleeping bag below them. Josh's entrance pulsated around Matt's hard length and squeezed around him in waves. Matt rode him through the climax, holding the singer close as he shook, and Josh kept his face buried in the crook of Matt's neck, feathering soft kisses to his skin, even as his own body seemed to go completely lax in the younger man's arm. arms. Fuck Josh! Matt's words were strained as he let go of the singer's softened link and brought his fingers to his lips to clean away the salty liquid as best he could. Josh smirked Stop! Josh smiled weakly at the younger man's actions before closing his eyes. His cheeks were wet, hot tears having leaked out at some point when it all got too intense. But he rubbed his face against Matt's heated skin and sighed. Come on, Matt, the singer echoed Matt's earlier words. Matt Stop. Matt chuckled. Come on what, Joshy? What do you want me to do? Josh lightly flicked his tongue out again, lapping at Matt's skin as he had done so many times in the past few minutes. He just loved the way Matt's skin felt smooth and warm under his tongue. I want you to fill me up, Matty, Josh whispered. Let me feel you. True.
Are we almost done with this?
Yeah. Matt's breath hitched in his
You said that 20 minutes ago.
I'm
not fucking kidding. People are gonna be like an hour-long fucking video, and it's just gonna be you reading this fucking thing. We're not gonna get to read, Fina.
It's fine. I don't want to read. I just want to draw squad right now, so.
Matt's breath hitched in his lungs at Josh's words, his body instantly reacting to the heat of the singer's request had inside him. Matt hugged the older man tighter, his body going rigid only seconds before he gave his lover exactly what he wanted. Josh could feel the warmth of the younger man's release into him. The wetness that accompanied it was enough to make him moan. Matt made soft noise. This is not how porn is, by the way. Of pleasure deep in his throat as he continued to roll his hips in gentle motions, only pulling out a little at a time before slowly pushing back in, effectively milking his release as long as he could before stilling his movements altogether. The two stayed together, leaning against one another for support as they caught their breath. Matt was the first to move, but Josh made a sound of protest when the younger man started to shift underneath. I almost said shit. Matt sprinkled kisses along the singer's shoulder, though, and held him a bit longer. Josh sighed happily and wound their fingers together where Matt held him. We're going to have to move eventually, Joshy, Matt chuckled. Josh nodded. I know. I just wanted to feel you for a little bit longer. Matt smiled and rested his head on Josh's shoulder for a moment more. It's time to lie down, Josh. You're falling asleep on me. Josh's lips turned down in a slight frown, but he nodded and shakily leaned forward so Matt could easily slip out of him. The drag of the younger man's length inside him and the emptiness that the singer felt afterwards caused Josh to whimper quietly. But Matt was soon enveloping him in his arms again and pulling him down by his side on the sleeping bag. Matt ran his fingers through Josh's damp hair and kissed the tip of his nose. Don't worry, baby. There's no way I'm going to let you go after this. Josh ducked down and curled into the younger man's side, wanting to be closer to him. What do you mean? What does this make us? Matt's chuckle rumbled through his chest
What are we?
and under Josh's ear. Would you... Are you okay? Do you need an inhaler?
You're the count.
Would you be opposed to me calling you a sexy beast? Josh knuckled Matt's ribs. I'm serious. I know. Matt's voice was suddenly quiet. I never thought this would happen between us, Joshy, but that doesn't mean I never wanted it. You can't imagine how long I've wanted to call you mine, and now I have you. I'm yours, then? Josh looked up at Matt through his eyelashes. Does that make you mine? Matt smiled and lifted Josh's chin so he could lay a soft kiss to the singer's lips. Absolutely. Josh smiled. Mine and yours. I like that. Matt just brought their lips together once again and reached out to pull the edge of the sleeping bag over them both as a blanket. Good, 'cause I love it. Josh sighed happily as his eyes drooped closed as he laid his head down on Matt's chest. I love you. Matt's heart skipped a beat in his chest, but before he could respond, he could hear light little snores coming from the older man he held. He pulled them closer, tangling their legs and feet together before laying a kiss to the singer's forehead and nuzzling into him. I love you too, Joshy. The end.
Fucking finally! Fucking finally! I swear they were eating out each other's assholes.
Human centipedeing it.
Anyways, my fanfic.
I need to go get a Bible really quickly and bless my soul.
My fanfic is
Holy water.
We should probably wait for Fitz to get back.
Article spot in it, and it also is one of the tags, glowing jizz.
Hey, let's read that one. Also send it to me so I can read it tonight.
Okay.
I just wanted to make a video.
Glowing
Do you know what? We
jizz.
could have made a video about our bunny cookie.
I'm telling
Fuck yeah, we could have fucked.
God damn it.
Good him.
We gotta
Anyway,
cut him up.
yeah, he's already dead. Anyways, my fanfic was about a small YouTuber named Robert IDK in packing peanuts. And it's called Packing Peanuts Paradise. Robert sat on his couch, his legs bouncing with anticipation. His eyes constantly flickered to the door. Fuck you, fucking Facebook movie bullshit. As if it would somehow help the speeding up of time, he waited for his lover to arrive. Every minute that passed felt like an hour to him. He looked down at his watch and sighed. 1:17. Shouldn't they be here by now? Robert bit his lip nervously, toying with the string of his red hat. Maybe it's time. Maybe I got the time wrong, Robert thought to himself as he sighed. He unlocked his phone, scrolling through Twitter and replying to some fans. Something he did very often. He got through the tweets relatively quickly, as he had already done so earlier in the day, so there weren't too many new ones. He was about to get up and go record a video, assuming that he must have gotten the incorrect time or date, when there was a knock at the door. His heart rate sped up and breath hitched. He took a deep breath and made sure his clothes were all stretched out. Combing a hand through his hair and stuck out beneath his hat. Combing a hand through his hair that stuck out beneath his hat, he walked to the door, taking a final deep breath before opening it. The man with the blue uniform smiled at him. Got your package. The man looked down at the small label on the parcel he was carrying. Robert, the man said. His name tag read Owen. Thanks, Owen. Robert smiled back, with a slight blush on his face, and his heart sped up even more. Sign here, Owen told him as he held out a notepad and pen. Robert did as he was told. Before Owen handed out cat. Fucking stop nudging my leg. Fucking shut it. Sign here, Owen told him as he held out a notepad and pen. Robert did as he was told before Owen handed him the medium-sized cardboard box. The brunette took the box, admiring how light it was, and waved Owen goodbye as he closed the door. He turned around and smiled. Grabbing his scissors up, he opened up the box carefully as he could manage. He opened the box, revealing a glorious white fluffy heaven inside. He reached in his hands and sides, pulling out a handful of packing peanuts and hugging them against his chest. He then proceeded to lift out the box, pouring the peanuts into while on the carpeted floor. Tossing the box aside, he lay down in the pile of packaged protectors. His protectors, packing peanuts, made him feel safe, and for that he loved them. His eyes closed. He closed his eyes and imagined.
Does he have sex with the packing peanuts?
No, God, no. It only has like a page left. He closed his eyes and imagined himself with a packing peanuts paradise, with packing peanuts pool, and it was just him and his one true love. He knew that he would never get hurt when he was with them. He would never be damaged.
Is packing peanuts.
Yes.
Why?
The only emotionally scarring him would ever have to deal with would be a form when he read those fan fictions. He shuddered at the thought. But at least for now, he could lay with bliss in his packaged peanuts paradise. And then the author commented for info behind the story is they asked Robert IDK what they should ship him with, and he said packing peanuts.
Nice.
And so that is the story of my grandchild.
Are you prepared?
Shipped with packing peanuts.
I'm still.
Hey, rocket's blasting off again!
Oh wait. Oh, you just lost enough to put them in.
Honey, you found it? Ah!
She goes, your phone to fall, baby. Are you okay?
Yeah. shit, and I landed on my foot.
Oh, babu.
Okay, start whenever you want. Foxy lady.
Shit. No, I went past it.
Cat stretches, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, stretch.
Look on
What do you think I'm fucking on here for?
Go.
So, I'm reading Outsider's Honor, and it's from the fandom Dishonored. And so, I'm starting, like, mostly through chapter 4 to the great.
Bless you, Grandma!
What's that?
I'm sorry, Rachel. I didn't mean to kick you. I didn't know you were
Had Corvo known what the deity had meant by honing, he might not have gone through the rest of his day so calmly. After they had spoken, the outsider said that he had other matters to attend to, and had left Corvo to his own devices. Since he was right there, Corvo took the opportunity to go back over to the scribe pool, intending to check on Emily. He'd hoped that he could watch over his daughter for a bit, to see how she was handling his death, but the pool remained stubbornly ordinary. After a few hours of trying everything he could think of to get the damn thing to work, Corvo gave up as a lost cause and returned to the rooms he'd woken up in and decided to do some reading. The books on the shelf provided to him were fascinating, and he spent what felt like several hours poring over delicately inked words. Everything from natural history to religion to cooking were in evidence alongside more, can't pronounce that, choices such as the Templar's Guide to Ethics, and tricks and entrapments for the dark eyes, the latter of which seemed more an ode to rather than condemnation of the presumed depravities of the outsider by one incredibly imaginative and descriptive overseer. In retrospect, maybe he should have paid more attention when that last book practically fell off the shelf and onto his head when he was trying to reach a sailor's journal, and taken it as a warning, as it was. 1 minute, he was thumbing through the battered journal, and then suddenly the breath was forced from his lungs. Light disappeared and reality distorted. When everything snapped back into place, he was lying on his back on a soft bed, staring at the ceiling of a dim gray stone tower, a single window streaming moonlight in over his frame. He glanced around and didn't see the outsider anywhere. That was odd. He hadn't accidentally blinked himself somewhere he'd never been before, had he? No, surely the dark-eyed deity had brought him here for a reason. He thought a moment. English, motherfucker, do I speak it? Then sighed softly, a hint of a smile playing over his lips.
English motherfucker.
Of course, to be entertaining. He tried to sit up, but was halted by unexpected restraints. Panic drove away the last of his amusement as he looked at his wrists. They were bound over his head by tentacles of inky blackness, trapped securely in shadow made solid. He squirmed against the bonds, and found that his ankles, too, were held tightly, his legs splayed wide and secured to either post at the foot of the bed. With a quiet growl, he struggled a bit more earnestly, finding that his bonds held tight, leaving him no room for escape. Damn. With a scowl, he forced himself to settle. Struggling would get him nowhere. It would only serve to exhaust him. Closing his eyes, he sighed softly. He clenched his left hand in an attempt to blink away from the bed, but it only made the back of his hand itch and burn. Damn. Very suddenly, a weight was pinning down his body, and his eyes flew open in shock. It seemed his deity had finally come to start the evening's entertainment. The outsider was sitting on his hips, elbows resting on his knees as he leaned over Corvo, a wicked gleam in that black gaze. God, the outsider was fully clothed, but Corvo had never felt more consumed in a man's presence before, or so swiftly overwhelmed with sensation like this. He could almost taste the rich tanned leather of the deity's knee-high boots, and his eyes caught a flash of pale skin where his jacket and shirt were artfully undone at the collar. The outsider's ass was pressing down on his cock, which was slowly filling now that the deity was here, and being so damn in control. Corvo licked his lips and could have sworn that he smelled the barest hint of an ocean breeze. They gazed at each other for what seemed to Corvo an uncomfortably long time. He was about to open his mouth to make some kind of plea or to ask what was going on when the outsider placed a single finger over his lips, silencing the words before they escaped. "Have you ever made a blade, Corvo?" He shook his head no. He knew the process behind it, but such work was the best left to more skilled hands than his. The outsider hummed a thoughtful sound, his finger still pressing lightly on Corvo's lips. "You wanted to become a blade in my hand, did you not?" Corvo nodded, excitement and fear tumbling through his gut. The deity smiled slowly, a terrifying, wicked, arousing sort of smile. "Then you will have to submit to the tempering I'm about to put you through." He sprawled on top of Corvo, their groins, bellies, and chests pressing together. Pale hands reached behind Corvo's head to clench into his hair, and tilt his head up slightly so that the outsider had easy access to his mouth. Corvo's cock twitched as he panted softly, his gaze dark as the outsider traced his tongue across Corvo's bottom lip. "There will be things you won't like, there will be things you never knew you wanted, and there will be things that I do solely for my own entertainment," the deity murmured, taking the opportunity to bite down onto Corvo's lower lip, drawing blood. Corvo grunted at the injury, scowling slightly as the dark-eyed man watched blood trickle down his chin with eerie fascination. So much more. To send your spirit into the human world requires an incredible mental fortitude. It is a wonder your mind didn't crumble apart when you dove so recklessly today. To combat that, I will put you through things that will strain your mind to the snapping point. I will send you spiraling into pleasures so extreme that you will never wish to come down from them. I will temper and hone your mind into a weapon that will not shatter at the first bit of resistance it meets. All I require is your consent.
Good! Ask for consent!
Ask for consent.
A shudder rolled through Corvo, and he found himself nodding. The outsider yanked Corvo's head backwards, exposing his throat, nosing aside the collar of his jacket. "Say it," the deity commanded, biting down over Corvo's throat, teeth digging into flesh almost threateningly. Corvo groaned, eyes falling shut. I consent." He breathed through a moan. He let out a pant as teeth loosened from around his throat, and a tongue trailed up over his chin before thrusting between his lips as the outsider's mouth covered his own in a hard, brief kiss. "Good." The uttered word made Corvo whine faintly, blood rushing through his veins. He had no idea what he'd just agreed to. No, you did not, Corvo. And that thought on its own was simply terrifying. Combined with nerves and how pleased the outsider seemed, it transcended terrifying and became something more, something fuller and richer than latched onto his spine and flooded nerves and, goddamn, I can't pronounce that one either, with sheer God, Corvo, I'm kink-shaming. Pushing himself up, the outsider returned to sitting on Corvo's hips, pale-skinned hands bracing against the muscles of his chest. A smirk twisted the outsider's lips, and he dug his fingertips in, raking them through Corvo's clothing. The fabric parted like it was made of mist, and after a moment of consideration, did, in fact, fall apart into nothingness. Corvo cussed creatively, craning his neck to see that he was quite nude. The outsider hadn't moved from his place on Corvo's hips, and the sudden feel of his aircock being pressed against the deity's clothed ass was positively sinful. The outsider looked entirely too pleased with himself. My lord, Corvo groaned, his hips twisting to rock against the cloth-covered firmness of the outsider's body. The outsider chuckled. His body seemed to waver in time, and the quiet reverberations then rippled apart, fading into a haze of black smoke. Corvo gasped as the cool air hit his groin and thighs, uttered a curse, and scowled when the deity reappeared in a nearby chair. He couldn't remember if the chair had been there before, but it surely didn't matter. The outsider was sitting on it rather than on Corvo, and the man had to curse the damn chair for being there anyways. Begging already, Corvo. He bared his teeth, head flopping back onto the mattress as he stared up at the ceiling stubbornly. No.
Oh god, the basket.
Then a laugh, clear as bells, sounded in coal smoke. Oh? Let me give you a bit more incentive to do so, then. Before Corvo could think, much less respond or protest or demand, the shadows binding his wrists and ankles began to wither, and delicate tendrils sprouted from them to tease along his skin like a lover might trail fingers over flesh. Oh shit! Corvo's jaw clenched as he tried to hold himself apart from the sensations. He knew where this was going, and while it led to bliss, it was sincerely disconcerting the way to get there, one which he wasn't sure he was entirely fond of. By all means, fight how you feel, the outsider purred, as inky blackness stroked and pet over his flesh. Two particularly bothersome tentacles were making their way up the inside of his spread legs, slithering cool with an increased slickness towards the abs of his... I can't pronounce anything today. Of his thighs. Curses fell from Corvo's lips when curious fingers of oily darkness probed at his balls, sliding over his sack and slithering around like happy snakes. That's kinky, Corvo. I'm shaming.
Don't shame us.
I'm shaming Corvo.
What about me, huh?
One of the things slicked up and over his member.
God, no, not this member bullshit,
Coiling
no.
around him and stroking him with an uncannily human grip. Corvo coughed out a plea, well on his way to begging, despite his best intentions, as if that weren't enough. Something began to lick and press at his entrance, the same way it had before. This one, or rather the outsider, was impatient, though, and once the thing had pressed into his ass, it plumped up to the thickness of a sausage. How is that supposed to be hot? Anyway,
You can't?
I can't, no. Urging a garbled, oh fuck, yes, from defying his body, his brain,
Oh, fuck yes.
and making him try to decide between whether or not this was glorious or wholly disturbing.
Fucking cover that fucking shit up. I don't want to fucking get tagged for nudity.
Why not both, Corvo? Why not both?
Fucking put the Bible.
I wanted to say both, but he had already begun to lean more in the direction of glorious. Bro,
I just came here to
the
have a
outsider
nice time.
watched him like a child watches an insect, idle amusement and
draw squad,
curiosity.
so that's nice. I'm reading fanfiction.
And as the
Draw
thing
squad?
inside him knobs and protrusions that pressed damnably or gloriously into his prostate, all while the thickness stroked in and out of him, making his belly wind tight. Bro, why would I ever pick this fic? Pre-cum drooled freely from Corvo's length, as the other tentacle stroked his length, with that cool, oily touch. Corvo tilted his head down to watch the assault on his member with heated eyes, which widened in shock when another, very thin, and some... No, I forgot about this part.
Can you stop moving the bed? I'm trying to...
I forgot about the other tentacle. Very thin, subtle tendril sprouted from the parent and started nudging around the head of his erection like a newborn kitten seeking its mother's teeth. Breath caught in his throat when it found his slit, tapping around the inside the hole before wriggling inside. A shocked, almost horrified sound fell from Corvo's lips, the words on his tongue to ask the deity to stop this madness, but then the tip of the thing thickened, and it felt like a small ball was being dragged up and down from the inside of his organ. Kinky. A low, husked groan emitted from Corvo's chest, and his head fell back, his cheeks dark red as he thrashed in his bindings. What are you? He panted, hips twitching, jerking, arching in time with the movement of the unobtrusive-seeming tentacle lodged deeply inside him. He gazed at his deity with lust-darkened eyes, sweat springing up on his skin, cooling the intense heat that seemed to swirl through him. Outsider was still watching.
And so, like, I was trying to, like,
Corvo felt moved and exposed beneath that dark haze. Y'all love this fic yet?
I'm
No.
in love with it.
Tentacle porn
It's
is a
beautiful.
no-no.
Fight me.
I picked the best fic for y'all.
See, mine was short and sweet. It's about packing peanuts.
Mine was long and amazing. I love this fic too.
I'm
Mine's
just gonna draw
beautiful.
fan art instead.
Y'all are gonna suffer through the rest of it. Prostate assaulted
Oh,
on
no.
two fronts.
Here, everyone, you can look at this beautiful fan art that I'm drawing instead. Look, it's beautiful.
Oh, no. I fell.
Bruh.
Bro.
Fam, so
Honey, you're sweet. I cry. Y'all don't love my fic.
I
I'm so
love the fic.
disappointed in y'all.
I love it.
Y'all just don't.
Stuck in a basket.
well, it's your fault.
I love it.
I can't get out.
I know.
You've made me read it and I loved it. Grass out yet?
Shit, I lost my place.
Can I stop? You're gonna break my basket.
It's my helmet now, bitch.
Na 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 na.
Can she finish reading?
Hmm?
Can she finish reading?
I'm sorry, I got too excited.
No, there's a lot more.
Oh.
There's so much more.
See if you can beat me.
But at the same time that I want to finish it, so it's not left incomplete, y'all are also very bored with my fic.
I'm not.
I'm not bored with it. I'm just traumatized by
No
it.
one comments on my fic. I do not know how to respond.
English.
English, do I speak it?
I'm an innocent small child, so I'm sorry.
You're not innocent. You made dick jokes with me.
Just because I make dick jokes doesn't mean I'm not innocent.
My dad didn't send me the dad video. Are we gonna finish reading it or not?
Do you want me to?
It doesn't matter. It's up to you.
Because I don't have to if y'all don't want to.
It's up to you.
Bruh. I literally just said it's up to y'all.
I'm sniffing a Bible. I loved it.
Yeah, Fitz is already tainted.
I've always been
Tainted. Taint. Tid.
Why is my dick here?
fucking, now we're gonna get flagged for nudity. God.
It's wooden. It's beautiful. You're the one that picked it up.
Didn't someone else have a fic?
Well, no. Ah!
Fina.
No, I'm not. No.
Her
The other
fic is
person should
intimidated
read
by
their fic.
ours.
I'm not intimidated. I just know. I
Her-
just want to draw fan art.
I think my fic had enough smut in it just with what I read that I don't need to read the rest.
I think we're good, aren't you?
I'm licking my tummy.
Just touched your boob.